You've got news straight ahead.
The verdict is in, sealed in secret. Now the countdown. We're exactly 12 hours from knowing O.J.'s fate.
We'll have live reports this hour from Los Angeles, including Sharon Ito reporting on the vigil to verdict.
Then I'll take you to the O.J. Simpson estate, where 2,000 people a day continue their pilgrimage.
Plus, our capital's best legal minds join us live with insights on the jury's rush to verdict.
Good evening, I'm John Mallow. Sharon Ito will be joining us live from Los Angeles in just a moment. Lori Mockenhop joins me here tonight.
As we look at the O.J. trial, 12 hours from unsealing the verdict.
You're watching KPWB 31, Sacramento, Stockton, Modesto.
Live from Channel 31, this is the 10 o'clock news hour with John Mallow, Sharon Ito, and Grant Napier with sports.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight.
Topping our news tonight, boy, swift justice after a slow dance. More than a year's of testimony is already in. We're going to know the verdict tomorrow. Linda Joyce standing by live.
O.J. Simpson's personal attorney, Leroy Taft, who visited Simpson at the jail tonight, said he doesn't think Simpson will get much sleep this evening. F. Lee Bailey, another of Simpson's defense attorneys, says that no jury has ever convicted an innocent man this quickly.
Lead defense attorney Johnny Cochran says you can't tell what the verdict is regardless of how quickly the jurors decided on one.
It go either way. Some people think that when you have a quick verdict like this in a case like this, it's good for the defense. Other people think that it's good for the prosecution, so it's hard to say.
What do you
think? Speculating.
O.J. Simpson let out an audible sigh as he left the courtroom. One of his defense attorneys, Carl Douglas, appeared grim-faced. All this after learning the jury had reached the verdict in under 4 hours of deliberations.
Mrs. Robertson advised me that you buzzed 3 times and indicated that after receiving the verdict forms that you have reached a verdict in this case. Is that correct, Madam Foreman? All right.
This courtroom observer described O.J. Simpson's reaction.
And he sort of just watched them leave, and with this sort of shocked look on his face, and he blinked his eyes several times, and then he just dropped his pencil. He had a pen or a pencil in his hand, and he dropped that onto the defense table and just turned and walked back into the lockup.
The verdict will be read Tuesday morning to give all the attorneys ample time to be in court. Jurors heard a portion of the testimony from limousine driver Alan Park, which began on March 28th. Park testified that he went to O.J. Simpson's house the night of the murders and waited for about a half an hour to take Simpson to the airport. Park testified he did not see Simpson's Bronco parked at the estate when he arrived. Park also said he saw a 200-pound-plus African-American cross the property, and moments later, Simpson answered the intercom. Prosecutor Marcia Clark called this portion of the testimony the state's defining moment. After court, Prosecutor Christopher Darden said nothing shocks him anymore, referring to the speed in which jurors reached their verdict. Defense attorney Carl Douglas would not comment outside court, but by telephone he said he was stunned jurors reached the verdict so fast. He said everyone in his office was surprised.
Los Angeles police remain on a modified tactical alert tonight. Tomorrow they step that up to a full tactical alert. Reporting live from Los Angeles, I'm Linda Joyce. Back to you.
Okay, Linda, thank you much. Lori?
We're also in Los Angeles tonight. 31 News anchor Sharon Ito reports that outside the courthouse this night before the verdict is turning into a 3-ring circus.
We're here at Camp O.J. It's the media camp outside the criminal courts building here in Los Angeles. Fair to say that this city probably won't sleep tonight with that verdict coming down at 10 o'clock in the morning. Already, we're seeing police precautions in place. Police cars are patrolling around the courthouse. The entrance to the courthouse, an entire street is blocked off here in Los Angeles, and no camping is being allowed overnight. We are seeing some spectators around the courthouse, but what police are expecting first thing in the morning is the crowd of spectators to come to the courthouse to hear the verdict for themselves. So that's the atmosphere right now here in downtown Los Angeles. It's actually calm and under control. Coming up in a few minutes, the verdict is not the only thing that people are talking about. They're also talking about a controversial tabloid and the pictures that only the jury saw until this week, and that's coming up.
All right, Sharon, thank you very much. Well, the big question tonight, everyone is asking, what does this fast verdict mean? Former Sacramento District Attorney Steve White joins us live now. And Steve, thanks for being with us. Conventional wisdom will tell us that a fast verdict like this means an acquittal, but this thing has been anything but conventional. Agree?
Well, it has been anything but conventional. Even the conventional wisdom isn't that conventional. There's a camp that says a fast verdict is a conviction. There's another camp that's a subset of that says a fast verdict in a murder case is an acquittal. I would say you can't draw any inference from the fact that this jury has come back this fast, because we have never had a jury that's been living together and with this case for almost a year. This is one of a kind.
All right, Stephen, let's break it down. What inference can we draw from the fact that the jury comes in and they say, we want to hear testimony from Alan Park, but only dealing with the timeline? They don't want to hear testimony about an African-American possibly walking in or running into O.J.'s estate a few minutes before he actually answered the bell. And there is a question whether or not that was O.J.
Well, it tells you one thing that's relevant, but it leaves vacant another question, and that is the relevant thing that they're looking at the opportunity to commit this murder. What it doesn't tell you, though, is whether there's one juror who's holding out for guilt or one juror who may be holding out for not guilty, and this information is what would guide them one way or the other. So you can't, even though you know about what they're asking, you know what issue seems to be of interest to somebody on that jury, you can't draw from that any kind of conclusion which suggests whether they're going to vote guilty or not guilty.
What about the fact that the jury, from all reports of those inside the courtroom, say they did not make contact with the defendant, eye contact that is, O.J. Simpson?
That does have significance. That, of course, generally indicates that they have done something that would displease the defendant, in this case convicting. But again, I've seen cases where you can't draw that conclusion, so it's really hard to say. One of the things that I think you can draw here, a lesson that I think has been lost over all this trial, is that the pundits and commentators generally have this wrong. They have been saying 72% of the people guided by these pundits have concluded that they would have a hung jury. They didn't even come close to a hung jury. They didn't have any problem reaching a verdict. And so I think you can draw a corollary from that lesson and make the judgment here that we don't know. I think it is just as likely that we'll have a conviction as have an acquittal. I think that if you're a betting person, you ought to get some odds and go for a conviction, because most people still think it's going to be an acquittal, and you can get the odds.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. And stick around, because we're going to talk more with Steve White, the former DA, and also a local criminal defense attorney in just a few minutes. Lori?
Some interesting thoughts. Of course, news of today's verdict is sending shockwaves through the community and around the country tonight. 31's Abbott Dutton standing by live now with some reaction for us.
Well, Lori, it's a reaction of shock. I guess it's safe to say that no one could have predicted the verdict on this very first day of deliberations, but that's exactly what happened, adding one more surprise to the trial of the century.
Even the verdict forms that you have reached a verdict in this case. Is that correct, Madam Foreman? All right.
It was a stunning moment in the courtroom. The prosecution and defense taking more than a year to prove their case. The jury taking only 3 hours to come to a verdict.
Oh, my God.
That's pretty much the general reaction to the news, the word spreading quickly through the streets of Sacramento.
It takes a year for a trial, and then just a day or two a day. This is a full day, not even a full day. What a surprise.
There was no real conflict among them. They chose the foreman, what, 30 minutes?
Did it surprise you at all?
Yes, it does, actually, because we're on a jury right now, and I'm really just surprised, but we're going to look forward to it tomorrow.
One person definitely caught off guard by the verdict is Simpson attorney Robert Blazer, spending the last year in the courtroom sitting to the left of O.J. Simpson.
Oh, it's absolutely flabbergasted. We were expecting all sorts of legal questions and readbacks, and you can't absorb 9 months worth of testimony and evidence and 1,000 exhibits that quickly that you make a decision that quickly. It just doesn't seem to make any sense.
The Sacramento attorney is rushing back to Los Angeles for the verdict reading tomorrow, leaving Sacramento not very confident tonight.
A fast verdict like this is very unusual in a case this long and this complex, so it's quite troubling, actually, that they would decide so quickly.
The only testimony reread to the jury was Alan Park, the limousine driver who took Simpson to the airport the night of the murder. Tonight, football fans are talking about the sports hero. Ironically, Simpson's former team, the Buffalo Bills, are in the Monday night game.
He's innocent.
O.J.'s innocent.
He's guilty. I mean, if my girlfriend wound up dead right now, you wouldn't find my blood inside her blood inside my car. He's guilty. I thought he was guilty from the beginning. I think he's guilty now.
So a lot of mixed reaction tonight, and we are outside Bleachers Sports Pub in Sacramento, where they were inside watching Monday Night Football tonight, and they were talking about the irony of the Buffalo Bills taking on the Cleveland Browns for Nicole Brown. Of course, the Bills was O.J. Simpson's team. And at one time, the score was 16-16. When you add that up, that's 32, which is O.J. Simpson's score. So there was a lot of talk inside about the irony of this game. And by the way, the Bills won 22-19. Back to you, Lori.
Is that any kind of indication?
Yeah.
Certainly some surprise with Blazer as well tonight. Thank you very much, Abbott.
Okay.
Well, looking back, it has been an extraordinary 15 months for the city of Los Angeles.
Yes, it has. Since the news broke back in June of 1994, the events leading up to the verdict have been historic, to say the least. And from the beginning to the end, it's all been recorded, documented by TV cameras. Hours before the murders on June 12, 1994, O.J. attends a dance recital for his daughter. His ex-wife, Nicole, is also there. Later that night in Brentwood, the bodies of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman are found slashed to death at 875 Bundy, a short distance from O.J.'s home. On the day after, June 13th, O.J. arrives back from Chicago and is briefly handcuffed. On June 16th, friends and family attend the funeral for Nicole Brown and the funeral of Ronald Goldman as well. The following day, O.J. and his pal A.C. Cowlings are pursued on a slow-speed chase, eventually giving up at O.J.'s estate. July 22nd, O.J. pleads not guilty. In fact, the quote, absolutely 100% not guilty, end quote. September 26th, jury selection begins. 3 months later, a jury is finally selected. January 24th, Judge Ito denies a request for O.J. to address the jury, but he's allowed to show his scarred knees. Also in January, the prosecution documents domestic violence with audio tapes.
Get someone over here now to 325 Gretna Green. He's back. Please. Okay, what does he look like? O.J. Simpson. I think you know his record.
February 3rd, 1995, Nicole's sister Denise Brown testifies.
Picked her up, threw her against the wall. Picked her up, threw her out of the house.
March 15th, Mark Furman denies he's a racist.
You say on your oath that you have not addressed any black person as a nigger or spoken about black people as niggers in the past 10 years, Detective Furman.
That's what I'm saying, sir.
In April, criminalist Dennis Fung testified about the evidence. Blood in the Bronco, a trail of blood in the driveway at O.J.'s estate, blood in the foyer of O.J.'s home, blood in O.J.'s bathroom, blood on the socks found in his bedroom, and a trail of blood at the crime scene. Then the testimony from former house guest Cato Kalin, who said he heard 3 thumps on his wall.
And where did that noise seem to be coming from?
From the back of the wall.
From behind you, where you were sitting?
Right, from behind the wall, from where I was sitting.
And O.J.'s limo driver, Alan Park, who testified he saw an African-American enter Simpson's home after failed attempts to reach anyone in the house.
That's when I got back up and out of the car and rang the intercom. This time there was an answer, which was Mr. Simpson. He told me that he overslept and he just got out of the shower and he'd be down in a minute.
In May, scientist Robin Cotton testifies on the DNA evidence linked to Simpson. In June, O.J. appears to struggle putting on the alleged murder gloves. August, a screenwriter testified she recorded Furman using racial epithets during an interview on police matters.
Did he ever use the racial epithet, which I'll call the N-word, during the course of your conversations with him?
Yes, he did.
The next day, Furman pleads the fifth. Well, closing arguments, of course, concluded last week with more than 8 months of testimony, 50,000 pages of testimony as well. Estimated cost about $9 million for Los Angeles County, and there are some who believe the Dream Team is going to bill O.J. for the cost of up to $7 million.
We've got much more Simpson coverage ahead tonight. We'll go back to Los Angeles and talk with Sharon Ito live. We found some graphic photographs from the murder scene. We'll take you to the crime scene. It's turning into the biggest tourist destination in L.A. And we'll talk more with our legal experts on the fast verdict. And more Simpson coverage. We'll have a special expanded edition of the 31 Morning Show from 6 a.m. until approximately 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, using the full resources of our sister station KTLA and Sharon Ito in Los Angeles. We'll have special live coverage inside and outside the courtroom. And we'll be opening up our phone lines to let you talk about the trial of the century. That's tomorrow on the 31 Morning Show.
Other news on this night, deadly violence in Roseville. 2 people shot and killed as the SWAT team is called out. It happened just before 5 this evening on Elisa Road. A young man first killing his girlfriend and firing shots at police. Neighbors saying he had been having problems ever since the floods in January of this year.
After the flood, and his father had been injured seriously in the flood, and I guess, him taking over as the head of the family.
Did that have something to do with it?
I know it did. He had some mental problems. They did take him over to the charter hospital.
Names of the victims not yet been released. Police are not sure if the one shot fired by the SWAT team was the fatal shot.
Sacramento travelers are dealing with headaches all U.S. flyers have tonight. Security is beefed up with closer baggage inspections, no parking or waiting at terminal curbside, and half the spaces in short-term parking have been closed. It's like this at airports all around the country, with warnings to travelers to arrive early and be ready for long lines. All this because of fears of retaliation after yesterday's conviction of 10 terrorists who bombed the World Trade Center.
You've got more news coming.
After over 12 months, we are now down to less than 12 hours. What are the odds on the verdict? Well, we're going to hear from one veteran prosecutor and a veteran defender.
It may be the most thankless job in the world, sitting on a jury. We'll see what a juror goes through as they decide the fate of a fellow citizen.
Also tonight, a local radio station conducting its own poll today, guilty or innocent. We'll hear the motorized verdict.
All right, busy day in sports. AL West goes down to the wire. The highlights and some post-game reaction. Monday Night Football, Bills and Browns also down to the wire. And how about Dennis Rodman? He's on the move again. I'll have all those stories a little bit later.
Identify yourself. Do you go for the gusto? Go out on a limb? Go full speed ahead? Go where no man has gone before? Or are you a cornflake eater? Guess not. You go for the adrenaline-pumping, milk-defying taste of weed. Made with wall-to-wall, indoor, outdoor, toasty, tasty, 100% whole wheat. A whole mouthful of flavor. It's the whole Medilla. So for taste that goes all out, go for the over-the-top taste of whole wheat weed.
Now the commemorative Calverton Junior Box.
We actually like going to the pattern retailer.
I think that says something.
Who else washes your car?
Sends your car birthday cards?
Can you believe that?
Has barbecues
For new owners.
with
A completely strange experience.
They're part of our family.
and we're part of their family.
I like my sales consultant so much. I became one.
I became one. I married one.
The 1996 Saturn SL1. Pretty nice proposal.
Now we're both making the payment.
All right, welcome back to the newscast here on Channel 31, and continuing our coverage now of the O.J. Simpson trial. Of course, the verdict is in. We won't know the outcome of that verdict until 10 o'clock in the morning. You can catch the verdict live right here on Channel 31 at exactly 10 o'clock in the morning. And right in the middle of the fray down in Los Angeles is our own Sharon Ito, who is standing by live with a story about a tabloid magazine and some photos. Sharon?
John, I have right here this week's edition of the Globe. It is a controversial tabloid, and it has a headline that says, "It is not for the squeamish," and it is true. For the first time, photos that the jury has only seen is now being published around the world. Quite honestly, it's not fit for television. They are gruesome photos. But I can tell you that when I've talked to people, when they have seen these photos, they say that it is the work of a savage killer, and they do hope the killer is brought to justice. But is that killer O.J. Simpson? Now, everyone that we've run into has an opinion, and it really is split. There are people who are guessing that this quick verdict means an acquittal. Others say that a quick verdict means a conviction. So as you were saying, John, we're just going to have to wait.
Right. I was just going to ask you, I mean, the photos don't shed any more light as to whether or not O.J. is, in fact, the killer, right?
One thing that these photos do, it stirs up emotions, and it's stirring up emotion on this eve of the verdict. If you are to believe the interpretation of these photos and the writing of the Globe, they're saying that these photos are proof that it was someone intent on killing Nicole Brown. The pictures are very gruesome, and someone who was determined to kill. Now, from there is the killer, O.J. Simpson.
Right. Now, I know you worked in Los Angeles previously. You know the area well. Give us a sense of what the mood is like when you first arrived and right now.
You know, when we came into Los Angeles, we weren't sure what to expect. We're here downtown, and surprisingly, it's very quiet. There is a police presence around the courthouse, as well as the streets that are blocked off. Things are under control. There are some spectators milling about, but there is not a huge crowd. I am suspecting that come first light, there will be crowds assembling, people who would want to get into the courthouse, and police will be ready for anything.
Certainly the attorneys on both sides were shocked at such a quick verdict. What were the comments from the people that you talked to, just people on the street? Were they also shocked?
There is still that astonishment that the verdict came in just like this. Here the trial was long and laborious, and a verdict in a matter of hours. I talked with the police captain. He says his guess is he's seen too many of these quick verdicts end in acquittals. I talked to a prosecutor who says conventional wisdom is a quick verdict is a conviction. Conventional wisdom is going both ways tonight.
Certainly everybody has an opinion about what conventional wisdom actually means these days, especially from what we've seen in the O.J. trial. Well, I appreciate your time, Sharon, and we'll hear from you later on. Sharon Ito reporting live from Los Angeles. Continuing our coverage now of the Simpson verdict, which is already in. We will hear it tomorrow morning. Of course, many people shocked at how fast that verdict actually came in. And what does that all mean?
Well, tonight we are joined by defense attorney Phil Cousins and, of course, former Sacramento County District Attorney Steve White. But, Phil, first of all, to you, we've been looking at this now, talking to another defense attorney. She tells me the demeanor of a jury in court today, looking relaxed and comfortable, would implicate a jury that seems to have reached acquittal, is comfortable with that. Would you read the same thing?
I would, but one of the things that I heard about the jury in one of your earlier reports was that the jurors didn't want to look at O.J. That usually portends something that could be something that's a verdict bad for him. So quick, slow, you know, we can't tell. Basically, and I have to join all of the other attorneys in saying this is a real difficult call to make, and I don't want to predict it at all.
Well, I'm going to ask your counterpoint to Steve White about that. I've heard varied opinions about whether or not the eye contact means anything. We asked you this earlier, Steve. What does it mean to you, negative or positive, in terms of O.J. Simpson's fate?
O.J. would be a lot happier, and his attorneys would be a lot happier if there was eye contact and it was positive. It is not, for example, uncommon where a jury has acquitted that the jurors will come in and one or two of those jurors will look right at the defendant and kind of give him even a wink. There will be some eye contact and communication, and if that did not happen here, and if more than that it was negative or they avoided him, then that would be something that were I one of the defense attorneys, I would be concerned about.
All right, give us some sense, Phil, what would happen now if there is a conviction. Give us what the law says. Automatic appeal, or how does it work?
Well, it depends what the conviction is for. It could be either, as you well know, first degree or second degree murder. I certainly think that the attorneys would be moving for a new trial, and that would happen before any sentencing. Sentencing would be scheduled normally over 30 days from now, approximately.
What do they have to do to ask for a new trial before the verdict?
There's 8 different grounds for a new trial. Those 8 different grounds include maybe errors of law by Judge Ito, and he had numerous controversial calls.
Mm-hmm.
There could be, and the claim would be that they infected the fairness of the trial. It could be that evidence was erroneously excluded, and there was some evidence that was erroneously excluded, perhaps from the defense viewpoint, such as the numerous statements by Detective Furman that he used racial epithets on various occasions. There could be a number of other things. It could be just claim that the evidence is insufficient to support the verdict. The new trial motion being filed, I suspect that there would not be a sentencing immediately for O.J., but that his attorneys, if he's found guilty, would be moving for a new trial almost immediately. And then after that, if it were denied, then there would be a sentencing. The sentencing for first or second degree murder is mandated and as either 15 to life, and then with the use of a knife would be 16 to life in this case for second degree, and 25 to life or life without possibility of parole, depending on the verdict in the first degree murder.
Oh.
And if he's acquitted, then what can you do?
He walks out the door, and he's once in jeopardy, and a double jeopardy would protect him from a second trial, so he'd never be tried again. Even if he went out the door and confessed to it out on the courtroom stairs.
Steve White, too, basically tonight, are you seeing basically the same kind of thing? There's all kinds of grounds here for an appeal.
Well, in every case, there are grounds for an appeal. In this case, would have more grounds in the sense that it went for 8 or 9 months, and there were a number of controversial rulings, just as Phil said. So there are going to be a number of things that are raised on appeal. What will normally happen is that they'll move for a new trial, just as Phil said, should they have gotten a conviction. It is almost a sure bet. It's a 99.9% certainty that that'll be quickly denied by the court. Then this will go on up on appeal. This is not a case that is going to be, were it to result in a conviction, lightly overturned. With all of the effort and all of the talent on both sides of this case, and with a very competent judge, Judge Ito, a very, very patient, competent judge, too, who listened and ultimately ruled, I think this is a case that, if it results in a conviction, is going to be tough for the defense to overturn.
Okay, Steve White, former DA, thank you very much. Phil, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Phil.
Yes, and still to come here on the 10 o'clock news hour, slugging it out over Medicare on Capitol Hill.
And the death toll rising from a killer earthquake. These stories and more when 31 News continues.
Dear sir, we needed a home. We were convinced our only choices were huge monthly payments we couldn't afford, living someplace we would rather not, or settling for less than we really needed. Another problem was trying to save enough money for the down payment at closing. Thanks to Miles Homes, we have a beautiful new home built from the ground up. We can afford the payment because Miles showed how our participation in the construction would save us a lot of money. In fact, we saved so much money and built up so much equity that we didn't have to come up with a down payment. What inspired us most was that Miles had faith in us, even though we had very little cash. Miles loaned us 90% of the money to buy our home site, 100% of the money needed to build our new Miles home, and because we qualified, Miles guaranteed us permanent financing. Thank you for helping us achieve a better quality of life and a more secure future. Sincerely, Bob, Carol, and Terry Spock.
Call this toll-free number and arrange an appointment with your local Miles consultant. This is your best chance ever to own a new home. Miles has helped over 45,000 deserving families get the homes they need.
When Northern Californians compare, they find the all-new Chevrolet Lumina has more power than a Taurus, more interior room and trunk space than a Accord or Camry, and Lumina is at least $1,300 less than a comparably equipped Taurus, Accord, or Camry. The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety named Lumina the #1 mid-size sedan for safety, and right now your dealer has a special shipment of Luminas you can lease for just $249 a month. Chevy Lumina. Once you compare, you'll see there's really no comparison at all.
Across America tonight, President Clinton is urging Americans to end the horrors of domestic abuse. He declared October Domestic Violence Awareness Month and says it is a problem Americans can no longer ignore. Clinton, who saw abuse in his own home while growing up, says domestic violence is a problem of society, not just something that happens in other families. Congressional lawmakers are continuing their duel over Medicare. Democrats today unveiling their version of Medicare reform. Meanwhile, a meeting of the House Commerce Committee took place under a GOP-erected clock reading, Medicare Countdown to Bankruptcy. Democrats called it propaganda and eventually walked out.
In Turkey, the death toll continuing to rise after a magnitude 6 earthquake rocking the countryside on Sunday. The death toll now stands at 43, but searchers expect the number to increase as the rubble is actually cleared away. A reporter on the scene says the cries for help can be heard from the rubble. Witnesses say that many people remain trapped in the toppled buildings. And Japan continuing to shake today as well. More earthquakes rocking the region. Residents enduring at least 1,500 of them just since Friday. Only moderate damage, though, reported thus far, but experts say that based on past experience, a relatively large quake tends to follow a series of small ones. Scanning other news from around the world tonight, from Indiana, the murder capital, from Mali, a society threatened, and from Atlanta, keeping cool. Here's Night Scan. Indiana, and state troopers arriving in Gary to crack down on crime. Residents say you can actually get a pizza delivered much faster than you can get a squad car to respond to a call. They fear the city will once again gain the title of murder capital, as it did back in 1993. Haiti. And the return of President John Bertrand Aristide has brought back desperately needed jobs. But unemployment is still a whopping 75% there. Hospitals, schools, and homes are in gross disrepair. Mali, at a society based on a complex religion being threatened by outside influences. The younger generation traveling abroad, abandoning traditional beliefs. Their elders fear their way of life will disappear. Idaho, and the number of sockeye salmon returning to spawn is alarmingly low. So far this year, none have returned. Last year, there was only one. Atlanta, and researchers coming up with a way to keep Olympic athletes cool next summer. They are testing giant fans that blow mist onto the playing fields. And that's Night Scan for this Monday, October 2nd, 1995. Boy, need I tell you, those are going to come in handy. You know how humid it is in Atlanta.
I've seen something like that, and let me tell you, it's hard to get the crowds away from them.
They might need a few of those down in Los Angeles tomorrow, especially around Civic Center. 101 degrees. That was a record high down in Los Angeles. They look for about the same tomorrow. We'll let you know the complete weather forecast for down through the south, and look at Hurricane Opal along with your local forecast. The weather's up next. Stay tuned.
Once upon a time, Charles Grodin was the king of L.A. talk radio psychologists. And Dan Aykroyd was the king of the crazy, locked up behind bars.
Those vampires are sucking the life out of me!
But that was before the big breakdown, and the even bigger breakout. Now it's Dr. Dan on the radio, in the funniest fraud ever to hit the airwaves. Dan Aykroyd, Charles Grodin, and Walter Matthau, The Couch Trip.
Tuesday at 8 on KPWV 31.
Babaloni has a first name, it's O-S-C-A-R. Babaloni has a second name, it's M-A-Y-E-R.
Quality beef, no fillers. 'Cause we wouldn't put anything in our bologna that wouldn't put in our kids.
'Cause Oscar Mayer has a way with B-O-L-O-G-N-A.
Come to Save Mart Supermarkets for Oscar Mayer regular and fat-free bologna and Oscar Mayer hot dogs. 2 for $3 now at Save Mart Supermarkets.
Looking for the inside word on how to make your first million? Well, now you can find it on KPWB 31, the new home of the California Lottery's daily drawing. Before you get the inside scoop with Deborah Norville on Inside Edition at 7, make sure to check out the numbers that can make you a millionaire at 6:59. It's your winning ticket to big cash and the country's hottest news magazine show. The California Lottery's daily draws, followed by Inside Edition, weeknights starting at 6:59, only on your station, KPWB 31.
Weather tonight, and Hurricane Opal has NASA worried. The second countdown for Space Shuttle Columbia beginning today, but officials fear that the hurricane could force a second scrub in this mission. Last week's launch was canceled due to a leaky fuel valve.
We were just talking here, J.D., it seems like this must be setting some kind of record for hurricanes this year.
Oh, at least that for tropical storms. We're up to about 17 and about four hurricanes plus so far. But the people down along the Gulf Coast states have a lot to worry about. This is a serious storm. It's packing 80-mile-per-hour winds right now as we take a quick peek at our satellite image for you. And when it does hit landfall, and that still remains to be seen exactly where it is going to strike, but expect winds up to 100 miles per hour. Hurricane warnings right now are in effect from Galveston all the way over to the panhandle of Florida. It's currently moving about 7 miles per hour, and right now the wind speed, as I mentioned, are up to about 80. So you can see our radar image, a lot of moisture involved with this, and as we get to our national satellite in just a second, you'll see why it's going to cause a lot of rainfall, especially for the southern Mississippi Valley and also Missouri Valley, too. Sacramento right now, cool, 65. Stockton a little bit warmer at 71. Modesto 69. Fairfield 65 degrees. And your barometer 29.91 and steady. 60% humidity, up a little bit from last night. And that's due to those calm winds right now. It is a nice night, too. Now, here's what I was talking about. Take a look at this national look. You can see we have Hurricane Opal moving straight up. A lot of its outer bands are bringing a lot of moisture to the south, combined with a frontal system that is merging with this. Look for up to 5 to 7 inches in certain sections of the lower Missouri Valley. So it's going to be pretty serious weather, at least for the next few days. We take a look out west for us. We can see that high pressure is still building for us. Most of that fog layer is still pushing out over the Pacific Ocean. And that's due to a very, very strong ridge
of high pressure and a very intense jet stream out over the Pacific, most of that moisture moving up through the Pacific Northwest. And here's your forecast around the Bay Area. Tomorrow, sunny skies, a little bit of fog, slowly starting to return to San Francisco. 80 degrees tomorrow, 87 for Nevada. Santa Rosa, you'll see about 88, and San Jose about 88 as well. Northern Solano County, Vacaville, see about 92, Fairfield 91, Vallejo 87, Concord the same, sunny skies for them, and cool around Vallejo. Up through the Gold Country, here you go, 84 for Grass Valley, and a cool nighttime low, 49, Auburn 50, Placerville about 86. Lower foothills, we'll see low 90s, mid to upper 50s overall. And here's your forecast for the Sacramento Valley. Sunny and warm tomorrow. We're going to pump it up a couple degrees, 92 for us. Low 90s overall, Modesto and Stockton about 94, overnight low of 56. And your extended forecast, we're looking for to get back to normal. Normal is about, 85 degrees by Saturday, cloud cover by Friday, but warm, couple more days, and then getting back to normal. Also, some of those northwest winds will start to shift around Thursday from the south. Good, thank you.
Summer still have lingering on us a little
still
longer.
is.
Okay, thanks, J.D. Well, more O.J. on a day filled with O.J. Now, this is local response to News Talk 650 coming up, and morning host Jeff Katz on the pedestrian overpass above Highway 50 between Zinfandel and Bradshaw. Now, Katz asking drivers to honk once if they think O.J. guilty, twice if they think him not guilty. Of course, many drivers with an opinion, but the real verdict, now sealed until 10 tomorrow morning, has more options than just one honk or two.
You've got more news coming.
He was a central figure in the other trial of the century in L.A. Well, today he was released from prison, but he's not yet a free man.
Local cops making a major bust of a pirate video operation, one that was pulling in big money.
And it's been over a year now after the murders, and crowds are still streaming to the O.J. Simpson mansion in Brentwood. Why do they keep coming? We're going to hear the reasons.
Sports guys like me like all the great sports stuff on America Online. I like getting the latest scores.
He's had enough. The commercial's over. Okay, the kid had enough.
America Online. Welcome.
On the next real story. In West Virginia, a citizen's tip leads officers to a motel drug bust.
Get on the floor! Get on the floor!
And
You feel safe here? Not really, but... Baby, if you don't feel safe, I wouldn't be here.
see how state troopers across the country work to protect victims of domestic violence.
We've had a lot of bad experiences with things like this.
On the next real stories of the Highway Patrol.
Tomorrow at 6:30 on KPWB 31.
See that, Sissy? I'm talking to some fella in Washington, D.C. He's what they call pro-NAFTA.
America Online. Welcome.
Across California tonight, former L.A. police officer Lawrence Powell has been released from prison to a halfway house. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison for the videotaped beating of Rodney King. Powell spent 24 months behind bars and will spend another 2.5 in transitional housing.
Wow, some African lions are actually lapping up the sun in their new Southern California home tonight. They are now living in the Angeles National Forest after being rescued from a squalid game farm in Idaho. The farm drawing national attention when 18 of the big cats escaped, and they had to be killed. Some other news tonight. Sacramento police have busted a local couple for alleged video piracy.
That's right. Police believe the couple had been raking in profits for years. And with limited Asian programming in Sacramento, the market was theirs for the taking. 31's Sandra Hernandez has more now.
Right with you, okay?
Police go in with a search warrant, cracking down on video piracy allegedly originating out of this house.
They seem to be scattered all over the house in cupboards and cupboards and shelves.
Alan Huey is the attorney representing Tai Seng Video Marketing, a major videotape distributor. The buckets of tapes keep coming. They include movies and soap operas in Thai, Cambodian, Vietnamese, Chinese, among other languages. All were reportedly duplicated and rented here.
These are legitimate tapes. You see, the manufacturer is given the full credit here.
Sac police found 500 tapes and 7 VCRs inside the house. Now, this is the culmination of more than a year-long investigation, but apparently this operation was going on for 2 to 3 years. A secretive operation, according to most neighbors.
You see lots of traffic, lots of cars coming back and forth, in and out, maybe from customers? I'm not quite sure, just like I said to the other people there. This is a busy street. I didn't actually notice. I'm in and out of the house. So.
Police also found a lot of handwritten evidence.
They have notebooks, steno pads, very much like the ones some of you guys are carrying today, that are just filled with page after page of records of rentals and customers and customer numbers, those sorts of things. So we have pretty clear evidence of a fairly sophisticated, fairly large-scale pirate rental operation going on out of this house.
54-year-old Tan Lam Tang and his wife, 47-year-old Van Q Tang, were escorted out of their homes and taken into custody, charged with failure to disclose the origin of a recording. If convicted, they face up to 5 years in prison. Reporting from South Sacramento, Sandra Hernandez, 31 News.
All right, still to come here on the 10 o'clock news hour. Would you believe, laughing all the way to the post office?
That story and these coming up on 31 News.
Have anything good in here? How about Kicks? Those are the ones with the little candies, right? Are they any good? Try some.
Kids like Kicks even if it isn't sweet like candy. And moms like Kicks because it's low in sugar.
These are really good. Yeah, but they're easier to eat at home.
Kicks, kid tested, mother approved.
Strong Arm, the hitter's dream. Non-electric, non-polluting for all ages, only 60 pounds. Throws baseballs, softballs, wiffle balls. Great for infield and outfield practice. Built-in screen protects pitcher from hard-hit drives.
The Strong Arm machine's just awesome.
For the location nearest you, call 1-800-2PITCH. Get your own Strong Arm pitching machine today.
Get yours!
Continuing tonight with our coverage of the O.J. Simpson trial, we go back live to Los Angeles, where the verdict is expected to be read tomorrow morning, of course, at 10. You can catch it here on 31. Sharon Ito is live for us now. Sharon?
John, I just wanted to set the mood for you here in Los Angeles at this hour. It's still pretty quiet in downtown Los Angeles. We are right outside the criminal courts building. We do have some of the latest news out of Los Angeles. The families of the victims, the Goldmans, as well as the Browns, are not saying anything tonight. They are offering no comment until the verdict does come in. Also, the word from some courtroom observers, they were saying that the jurors did not look at O.J. Simpson when he returned to court this afternoon, and some of the analysts have been speculating that indicates a guilty verdict. Again, still more speculation. As for the lawyers in the case, both the prosecution side as well as the defense attorneys, they've reacted like everyone else, simply shocked, John, that this verdict came down so swiftly. And, of course, the latest development this evening, the Globe has published pictures that up until this week, only the jury has seen the bloody bodies of Nicole Simpson as well as Ron Goldman, certainly firing up emotions tonight. As for the verdict, of course, as this hour, only 12 people know the verdict, and they are sequestered for the night. John, that's the latest here in downtown Los Angeles.
Los Angeles has been through a lot, huh, Sharon, with all the natural disasters and then the Rodney King thing and now O.J. Simpson. Boy.
It sure has been a lot, John, and, you know, there are people here who say that they're just tired. Certainly, no one wants any kind of disturbance or protest to break out. There is that queasy feeling in some people that we talk to that something was going to happen, because whether the verdict is guilty or not, people are going to be angry. There will be parts of the community that won't be happy with the verdict, but they're just certainly hoping that Los Angeles has learned that the world is watching Los Angeles and that things will be fine once the verdict is announced.
Okay, Sharon, thank you very much. We'll see you again live tomorrow morning on the morning show right here on Channel 31 beginning at 6 a.m. Lori?
And it's going to be a long night. Well, tonight's 31 News Extra, the O.J. Simpson jury The fate of the former football star rests in their hands, and they've already reached their decision. How difficult is it for 12 people to reach a unanimous verdict? Today I find varying opinions while examining the deliberation process. As we await the final word from the O.J. Simpson jury, we ask people buzzing around the Sacramento courthouse, if you were a juror, how would you decide?
I'm afraid at this point my verdict would be guilty.
I believe he's guilty. Personally, I hope they'll acquit him.
Not guilty.
Then we ask those who know juries best. One prominent defense lawyer senses a defense verdict, citing a mostly women and minority jury that tends to focus less on evidence.
In part because of the realities of their own lives. They're just not law and order people. They're not authoritarian, rigid-thinking people. They're more forgiving.
Still, Gutowski is surprised with the quick verdict. Others are not.
And it's funny, once they've been lectured to for whatever the length of the trial is, they get amongst themselves and into their jury room, they're ready to work.
Getting 12 people to agree on a verdict can be very difficult, whether you're in Los Angeles on the O.J. Simpson case or right here in Sacramento on any of a growing number of murder cases working their way through this courthouse. The trials may not be as sensational as the O.J. Simpson case, but the jurors will face the same assignment, listening to testimony for several days to several months, maybe a third of them taking notes. And when it's time to make a decision, it's off to a room like this one, discussing and debating their opinions, allowed out only for breaks during the workday until a verdict is reached.
We are going through more and more jury panels because we are so busy. And as far as being a capital type offense or a felony type of offense, that's virtually all we're doing anymore.
Sacramento hasn't had to sequester a jury since the late 70s, but in the O.J. Simpson case, a record being set 262 days. Well, still ahead, DJs are taking it all off for a good cause.
That's right, a new effort to improve the reading habits of local students. Those stories and much more, and plus O.J.'s estate in just a moment.
What's Red Lobster doing tonight?
We're gonna ooh yeah. We're gonna yeah. We're gonna yeah.
And now we're gonna dazzle you with 2 dozen shrimp, just $8.99, featuring a hot new sensation, roasted shrimp and fresh vegetables, plus scampi and fried shrimp.
We're gonna wow yeah. We're gonna ooh yeah. We're gonna yeah.
With our 2 dozen shrimp, only $8.99. It's for a limited time, so hurry in now.
Red Lobster tonight.
Next, Inside Edition. Sandy Patty was the biggest star in gospel music history until she confessed to infidelity.
She began an affair.
I started screaming. How long has you been having an affair with Sandy Patty?
A gospel music superstar's fall from grace. Plus, the newest star of Baywatch. Well, sort of. Our resident daredevil joins the cast of a hot new Baywatch ski show.
There's sea lions in there, they tell me.
Kirkland makes waves on Inside Edition.
Tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
When a town like Sparta, Mississippi explodes with anger, passion, and hatred.
Calvin, put that thing down!
It's the cops
You cannot expect cooperation to be handed to you just because you're police officers.
who feel the heat.
Let's see if his muscles are as big as his mouth.
Emmy winner Carol O'Connor,
I just want to talk to you, okay?
Academy Award nominee Howard Rollins,
I think that was no.
in the heat of the night.
Weekdays at noon on KPWB 31.
Tonight in Brentwood, security is tight around O.J.'s estate and at the Bundy crime scene.
Authorities trying to keep the onlookers at a distance and give the neighbors a break in a ritzy neighborhood that prior to June 1994 was usually quiet. Unfortunately, that may have changed forever thanks to the obsession of those who can't get enough of O.J. This is O.J. Simpson's estate as it appears today, and this is a common occurrence. Nearly 2,000 sightseers daily, with constant patrol from West Tech Security. And the curious, they come from all over the U.S., including Canada. Well, here it is, the O.J. Simpson estate, and what do you think?
Quite something. It is just like it appears on CNN every day.
Are you impressed?
Quite impressed. It's a lovely neighborhood.
Why are you here?
I'm here to see the O.J. scene.
Why?
The house. Why? Because it's interesting. I'm from Ohio, and I just came back from the Bundy place.
Because this is the most interesting crime of the century?
most intriguing.
Well, what's so fascinating? It's just a home. It's an estate.
It's, but it's a place in history now, forever.
You?
For the same reasons. Something compelled me to be here.
It's history. It's a part of history, and OJ's always been a friend of mine. You know, he's like a hero. So I've been following the trials and everything, and I personally don't believe he did it.
Looking inside the estate is difficult. Both gates have been blocked off with green plywood. We stood up on top of a van to get this shot of O.J.'s backyard. This is Ashford Street, approximately the same area where the limo driver that night came rolling up and waited for O.J. Simpson to come walking out of that gate so he could drive him to the airport. Now, if you take a walk around here with me, if O.J.'s Ford White Bronco was in fact parked on Rockingham that night and the limo driver was standing in this position, it would have been almost impossible to peer around the corner and spot the Bronco. I am standing in the exact same spot where O.J. Simpson's Ford White Bronco was parked on the night of the double murders. Now, the prosecution alleges that after O.J. committed those murders, he got out of the White Bronco and entered that gate on the Rockingham side of the estate. This is the house located next door to the O.J. Simpson estate. Now, on the night of the double murders, Rosa Lopez, allegedly so, came walking out of this gate right here that you see, walking her dog down the driveway at about 10:15, remember. She took a peek down the street here and apparently saw O.J. Simpson's Bronco parked at kind of an odd angle. This is our rental car. We actually had to park it about 4 blocks away from O.J. Simpson's estate. The street right here is Bristol Avenue. As you can see, the blockades are up, local access only. All other vehicles and people will be turned away. Now, let's take a stroll down Bristol Avenue. It's about 4 blocks away, as I said, from O.J.'s estate, and here come some sightseers who apparently were turned away from the estate. Sir, why?
Disappointed sightseers. They don't want people walking up there, and the officer said, where are you from? They said Florida, and he said, well, you'll have to leave.
People are being turned away. This is Rockingham off of Sunset Boulevard leading to O.J.'s house. Concrete barriers are up with the sign blocked out. The burden for the neighbors in this exclusive section of Brentwood is overwhelming, and there is no sign it will let up, even after a year and 3 months.
I think there's a lot of anger. I think everybody's fed up with it. I think that, they're starting to take matters into their own hands.
And this is the crime scene as it appears now, the front gate where the murders occurred. The condo at 875 Bundy is a sightseer's dream.
I wanted to see where this horrible accident happened.
Why?
To say a silent prayer, actually, for the family, and I wanted to show my daughter where it was.
Well, it used to be that people from all over would stream by and leave flowers, of course, at the crime scene at 875 Bundy, but no more. All the access to Bundy and O.J.'s estate blocked off. Only those who live in the neighborhood can actually get in. It's safe to say that Brentwood is never, ever going to be the same, even after the verdict.
That's
unbelievable.
True, yes.
Coming up here on the 10 o'clock news hour, Grant Napier staying by live with the late sports and a final on the baseball playoffs.
And the worm has turned again. Will it be the Three Musketeers in Chicago? All the sports next.
Rapid traffic.
We get traffic information every 10-15 minutes, the most updated traffic, and if you miss my reports, you can get the traffic ticker right there in front of the screen.
Rapid traffic.
It's the Valley's first and only non-stop traffic report. Rapid traffic and the 31 Morning Show traffic ticker. Instant information to keep you out of a jam. It's the fastest lane off and on the road.
Rapid traffic.
First, fast, instant rapid traffic and the 31 Morning Show traffic ticker. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on KPWB 31.
Oh, give me a home where the buffalo roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range.
Just listen. The Dream Home Scratcher. You could win your dream home on the big spin and kiss your landlord goodbye.
Already on this fine day, chefs are preparing a lavish evening feast. And over near the pool, refreshments have, of course, been anticipated. At Holland America, we're aware that perfection cannot be achieved overnight. But after 120 years, you can come pretty close.
Your Holland America cruise specialists are at Town & Country Travel. Ask one about our 7-day Western Caribbean cruise for as low as $5.98.
Grant is here with sports now, and believe it or not, yes, we do have the playoffs this year, and also we will have a World Series in baseball.
That's right. And boy, that's a lot better than a year ago, huh? But they needed an extra day of baseball's regular season to decide exactly who would be in the postseason. Would it be Seattle or California representing the West? Well, we roll the videotape, and this man right here was doing nothing but throwing BBs. Randy Johnson strikes out the side of the third. We get to the fifth. Sit down. J.T. Snow, he strikes out the side again. He was just smoking. Fifth inning, Vince Coleman here. Base hit through the hole on the left side. Wilson will round third, beat the throw home, and it's 1-0 in favor of the Mariners. Seventh inning, Louis Soho with the big hit in the ball game. Bases are loaded, broken bat, and it just does get down the line. Folks, this is trouble in any ballpark. Flower scores, Tippy Martinez scores, Cora scores, and the error here will allow Soho to score all the way. 4 runs come across, and that was the ball game, basically 5-0. The reason why that was the ball game, very simple. Randy Johnson was splendid. He allowed just 3 hits. He struck out 12, and what a way to end the game as Seattle wins their first AL West crown. Tim Salmon, and yeah, he gets caught looking, and it's all over. Celebration time at the Kingdome, and what a performance by that man, Randy Johnson. Again, allows just 3 hits. The Mariners in New York, they will take on the Yankees tomorrow at Yankee Stadium.
You know, this is the kind of game that I've always wanted to pitch in. I want to put the team put me in this position. You know, obviously it would have been nice if we could have clinched it in Texas, but I was put in this situation, and you can either rise or you can fall, and I just like to think that we all took this opportunity and rose to the occasion. And you know, California Angels had an outstanding year. Don't take anything away from them. And Mark Langston pitched outstanding until the end.
All right, how about some football? Browns and Bills, your Monday night matchup. We get you to the dog pound. Close game from start to finish. Pick it up with the Bills in the visiting dog. Jim Kelly looking, and he finds Justin Armour's first NFL touchdown. And it was 7-0 in the first quarter from 15 yards out. Check out this. By the way, who's directing this game? I mean, is this unbelievable or what? Where's the guy with the football, for crying out loud? There he is, Derek Alexander. And finally, he's off to the races. He will go 69 yards for the score, and we are tied at 7. Kelly with a big evening, 27 for 34 for 256 yards, including this 42-yarder to Andre Reed. Extra point, no good, 19-16. But the Bills were tied up at 19, and Steve Christie would win it with 5 seconds left, and it's all over, 22-19, your final score. All right, well, it appears the Cowboys will be without quarterback Troy Aikman. This week, it does not look like he'll be able to play against the Green Bay Packers. He hurt his calf in yesterday's loss to the Washington Redskins.
Feels better than yesterday, actually. Not saying a whole lot, but I was expecting still much worse. So, you know, encouraging if nothing else.
What are your chances of playing?
Not very good. But, you know, again, as I've always approached the injuries that I've had, I just take it day to day and wait and see how it feels. And got extensive treatment on it last night, and then today so far, and through the evening tonight, and on into tomorrow, and just continue with that until it improves and gets better.
Yeah, I'll tell you, if he plays on Sunday, I hope his protection's pretty good. All right, Dennis Rodman is a member of the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls traded Will Perdue to the Spurs for the controversial power forward, and regardless of whether you like Rodman or not, the Bulls came up with a great move today.
I felt comfortable with this because it was just left on my shoulders. I have to admit that they made the proposition and allowed me the room to make this choice. We consulted with our team leaders, and they said this guy's one of the best players in the game. It'd be tough for us not to go for him. We think they put this in a place where we can win the championship.
NBA training camps open up Friday.
Thanks, Grant, and stay with us. We're back with more news in just a moment.
When we bought our Saturn SL.
SC1?
SL2. I was so excited I couldn't sleep.
It was the first time I left the dealership
Without an upset stomach. Oh, totally.
They didn't try to steer me towards some $30,000 car.
They don't have one. Best of all, they
Didn't treat me like an idiot.
They did not ask me where my husband was. Hello, I'm the one buying the car.
They even let our dog in the showroom.
The 1996 Saturn SC1 with plenty of room for Fido. It's a great buying experience.
Once upon a time, Charles Grodin was the king of L.A. talk radio psychologists. And Dan Aykroyd was the king of the crazy, locked up behind bars.
Those vampires are sucking the life out of me.
But that was before the big breakdown and the even bigger breakout. Now it's Dr. Dan on the radio in the funniest fraud ever to hit the airwaves. Dan Aykroyd, Charles Grodin, and Walter Matthau, The Couch Trip. Tuesday at 8 on KPWV 31.
Stamp collectors are laughing all the way to the post office. The U.S. Postal Service released its line of comic strip classics Sunday. It's a 20-stamp collection paying tribute to the first 100 years of comic strips. It includes Popeye, Beetle Bailey, Blondie, and Little Orphan Annie. The new series kicks off National Stamp Collecting Month. And in Los Angeles, they should be inside collecting stamps rather than outside in the heat, huh?
Pretty warm, another 100-degree day tomorrow. The current temperature is 84 degrees right now. Here's a look at our forecast for tomorrow morning as you wake up. This is your wake-up weather forecast. 60 by 6, 9 o'clock 71, 12 o'clock 81 degrees. It was about 74 today, so we're warming up a little bit more. 92 for a high tomorrow. Don't forget our OJ coverage beginning at 6 a.m. That's with the morning show tomorrow here on 31. The Verdict live on 31 at 10. Stay with us then, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
Thanks for joining us.